Dawn breaks in Nairobi, Kenya, and the view of the sky from the ground is breathtaking. But it must be a sight for sore, sleepy eyes from the skies. We head to the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, and as I check in, I couldn't help but notice the crew walking past me, ready to take on the skies. The captain and the first officer make their way to the plane together with the flight purser. The two female pilots will be in charge of KQ Flight 410 to Entebbe, Uganda. All the cabin crew in this flight are women too. Only about 3% of pilots in the world are women. That's about 4,000 out of 130,000 pilots worldwide. The national carrier Kenya Airways has about 450 pilots, but only 40 pilots are female. For decades, flying planes has been seen as a man's job, but now more and more women are venturing into this career. Confident and at ease, Captain Amy Chepkwony and Kellen Nyambura make their way to the aircraft ready to fly passengers to Entebbe, Uganda. Their uniforms are decorated with insignia which, just like naval uniforms, represent his or her duties on board. The captain's insignia has 4 stripes on the blazer arms and 4 stripes on the shoulder epaulets, while that of the first officer has 2 stripes. At the runway, as part of safety procedures, one is required to put on vest reflectors. The 3 women, the pilot, first officer and the flight purser, are the first ones to enter the plane. And I get the privilege to follow them to experience firsthand the procedures they go through before the passengers board the plane. At the cockpit, the captain and her first officer are ready to put all the sophisticated equipment to good use. Captain Amy Chepkwony, who is in command, has already taken her position, which is on the left side of the cockpit. She's the one responsible for everything that happens on flight, including major command decisions, leading the crew team, managing emergencies, and handling troublesome passengers.
Well, the first thing we do usually is a security check. Make sure that there's nothing amiss, nothing out of the ordinary. We'll then check the maintenance status of the aircraft.
Yes.
All right, look there. We'll then check the maintenance status of the aircraft, see if there's any defects, technical defects that will actually affect our flight. We'll then look at the paperwork, see our flight plan, see what affects our routing, including the weather, and then we'll just power up the aircraft and, if possible, go and have a briefing with the crew. It's actually quite daunting at first, but thanks to Kenya Airways training, it helps us to. Thanks to Kenya Airways training, we're actually taught how to deal with different situations, how to actually react to emergencies and other situations. So that actually helps a lot. It actually helps quite a lot. First thing we do, we have an acronym ANC, Aviate, Navigate, Communicate. So Aviate, we are meant to keep the aircraft under control. After that, we navigate, we decide where we're going to go. We'll then communicate, so it's between the first officer and I. We will then communicate with probably air traffic control, the purser if possible, the rest of the crew, the passengers, and also our operations, and inform them what is going on. But it depends, there are different situations. If it's just a sick passenger, now we'll actually have to decide whether to divert, or if they're not too sick, page for a doctor and continue to destination. So it's based on our training, it's based on different situations. Well, Well, luckily I'm on the Embraer, which is the narrow body fleet, so we actually do mostly regional flights. So I'm home most of the day. At the end of the day, I'm mostly home. But when it was wide body on the 777, I'd be home, I'd be away for about 20 days in a month with 3 days after each flight. So that actually helps. So 3 days away with 3 days back. So that actually helped with interacting with my family. But apart from that, managing it is actually quite easy. It's the same as any 8 to 5 job as far as I'm concerned, except that our timings are a bit different. Today or this month, I could just be doing night flights. At other times, I could just be doing day flights or just afternoon flights. So it's just how you manage your roster and how you actually go about this. But what I can say is family support is actually quite important. If you don't have the support from home, then it actually becomes quite hard.
On the right is Kellen Nyambura, who is the second in command. Control of the aircraft is normally shared equally between the first officer and the captain. On the other side of the plane, the cabin crew headed by Helen D'Souza, who is the flight purser, are ensuring the cabin is in good condition, clean and tidy, and they also check the safety equipment. The cabin crew's main objective is to make the flying experience of the passengers pleasant and also serve refreshments on board.
I'd like to encourage all the women out there to celebrate being a woman. This job, for example, you know, when you look at cabin crew, you see the glamorous life, which is good. I mean, our office is at 35,000 feet, you know, and everybody would envy that. So I would say for women, especially if you'd like to come into this profession, it's a beautiful job. You get to enjoy traveling to different places, meeting different people from all walks of life. So I would say to the women to be empowered. As women, we're taught from, you know, when you're young to become a server. So, you know, you're here to serve people and take care of children, take care of other people. So I would say it's already in us to take care of, you know, people.
A poll conducted last year by British Airlines showed that women said they were put off flying as a career because lack of visible role models and because they were told that it was a man's job. However, times are indeed changing.
When we first started off as a first officer, when I used to fly with the other female pilots, you'd actually have some passengers who'd actually offload themselves because they couldn't believe that they were safe with women. But nowadays, you actually find that passengers actually want to come and say hi to you. Mostly, I find that the older generation, the parents, actually come in and they tell us that they actually couldn't believe that their daughter actually has a chance to actually do this. So it's actually changed. We're now encouraged, people are proud of us, and yeah, it's actually good nowadays. And I'd actually like to thank the senior ladies, Captain Koki, Captain Kathleen, Captain Chahonyo, they're on the Dreamliner right now. They really paved the way for us. They opened doors for us. If it wasn't for them, a lot of us would not actually be here.
In the poll, 20% of those questioned said when growing up, men were pilots on TV and in films, while 20% said that they thought women could only be cabin crew, and 13% of the respondents said they had never been on a plane flown by a woman.
My father was an aviation enthusiast. On days he was free, he'd always bring us to the airport, take us to the viewing bay, and every air show. I think we went to every single air show that was there in Wilson. So that actually helped foster that passion for flying. And also, at quite a young age, I actually managed to have my first flight. That was in 1991. I still have the ticket. And I think that's when I actually knew I wanted to be up here, but I did not know how to be a pilot because at that point there were no female pilots. Until an article in the paper about the first female pilot in Kenya Airways, Koki Mutungi, and I think that's when I actually saw there was a possibility. Water and waste level is okay as you briefed.
Meanwhile, a debrief is happening in the aircraft, and Captain Amy Chipkoni gets acquainted with the crew.
Equipment? Security checks. Oh, it's actually at the front. The weather is actually pretty good. In the evening, expecting some slight rain. It's not minimum crew today, which is interesting. Very different.
The passengers then start boarding the plane, ready for our 50-minute flight to Entebbe.
A very good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Kenya Airways, our SkyTeam partners, Captain Amy Chepkwony and the rest of the team, I'd like to welcome you aboard flight KQ410, now shortly departing for Entebbe. Estimated flying time to Entebbe has been given as 50 minutes. 50 minutes we shall be flying at an altitude of 34,000 feet. For now, we'd like to invite you to sit back, relax and enjoy our warm African hospitality. Once again, thank you for choosing to fly Kenya Airways. We wish you a pleasant flight.
Organizations need to ensure that women are exposed to strategic functions and operations to gain the experience needed for a better position.
Entebbe is now in the horizon, and our two female pilots are getting ready to land.